Coming up on Supreme Justice with Judge Karen.
What happens is this, is we start hitting traffic, so
Okay.
he starts going off on Ricardo Montalban.
So we're talking about Ricardo Montalban?
He starts talking about his friend, and his friend thinks that Robert Goulet is classier than Ricardo Montalban.
Right.
And he starts to get all angry.
So are we here because y'all were arguing about these two dead actors?
No, we're here because he pulls off to the shoulder of the road, he gets out of his car, he gets my stuff out of his trunk, throws it on the shoulder.
Alan Shepard is suing Sal Clausen in the amount of $525, the cost of a taxi, hotel, and airfare. The defendant is countersuing for $90.
All right, Mr. Shepard, you are suing Mr. Clausen for $525 for malpractice.
Yes, Judge.
All right. What's your relationship?
So what happened was I sell elevator services. So I travel all
You
over
mean for office buildings and apartment
Yeah, for office buildings
Okay.
and usually like 3 floors and above.
Okay.
And so I travel all over the United States.
Okay.
And so at this point I'm in Pasadena and I got to get to the Long Beach airport to take my flight home, so I'm taking a red eye.
Okay.
All right, so typically what I do is, I have one of those services on my phone where you call up for like sort of like a cab
or
ride.
something?
It's called Mondo. And so I call up, I tell them to meet me there at 8 o'clock, so I have plenty of time to get my flight at midnight.
Are you a cab driver?
Yes, Your Honor. It's an independent company. It's my own company.
Okay. All right. So you call. He shows up to pick you up.
Yeah, he shows up to pick me up. I've allotted plenty of time.
So what did you have? What kind of car?
It's a older Mazda.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
and how much do you charge for a ride?
Well,
How's that work?
Well, in this case, it's based off of mileage.
Okay.
And I estimate the cost of gas, and there's a 20% gratuity added.
Okay, but it's still cheaper than conventional forms.
Well,
of
it is a little
transportation?
cheaper, but there's nowhere on the app that says like you're going to owe a 20% gratuity. That's ridiculous.
Oh, okay, so is that part of the lawsuit?
No, well, it wasn't. I have another issue that he left me stranded.
He left you stranded. Okay,
Right.
so he picked you up.
He picked me up at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And so we start on our way to the airport.
Okay.
And which is, usually I'm a little bit nervous flying, so usually I just lay my head back and try to relax while I'm going there.
Okay.
And everything is fine, except when we start hitting traffic on the 10 freeway, he starts to talk. And so I try to ignore him. I try to just get...
What does he say? Where are you from?
No, he starts talking
Your Honor,
about
thank
this
you.
stuff about the 70s. He's like talking about Iggy Pop and like Led
Talking about
Zeppelin and Iggy Pop.
One of the greatest pop icons of the 70s, Your Honor.
Iggy Pop. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Iggy Pop. So he starts
Stooges.
going off on Led Zeppelin and Iggy Pop.
Right. What is he saying? What are you saying about these people?
Yeah, well, Led Zeppelin's the greatest rock band of the 70s.
Right. That's what you said. Hey, Led Zeppelin's the greatest rock band of the 70s.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, part of it is to do with this guy's a loudmouth. He's from Boston.
He said he wasn't talking.
Believe me, he was talking and smelling.
What?
Wait. So when he got into the car, he was talking?
Yeah, well, he barely made it out to my car as he was wavering. I got out to try to help him with his luggage.
Right.
And right away, I mean, this guy smelled really bad. Sort of, if
Like
you can
a
imagine.
body odor or alcohol?
Kind of like feces, if it was pickled in vodka or
Your Honor,
cheap vodka.
I had Korean for lunch, and I see no need to cast aspersions.
Karate Club.
I don't see any need to cast aspersions either. I think it's irrelevant because you started talking to him about Led Zeppelin.
Well, sure.
So you obviously wanted to have a conversation with the man. I would have been driving very fast trying to get him out of my car.
It's a bit of a trek from Pasadena to Long Beach.
That's a long ride.
And I was just trying, to be friendly.
Coming up on Supreme Justice with Judge Karen.
So are we here because y'all were arguing about these two dead actors?
No, we're here because he pulls off to the shoulder of the road, he gets out of his car, he gets my stuff out of his trunk, throws it on the shoulder.
Right, you did that? You obviously wanted to have a conversation with the man. I would have been driving very fast trying to get him out of my car. Okay, so we're talking about the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
70s is a great.
Disco
I mean, who doesn't like the
music,
70s? Your Honor?
everything. Yeah. Well, if you had to be born before that time, I guess, right? I wouldn't know.
Well, that's when the funk. Besides his funky smell.
Right.
I mean, there's great things going on. I mean.
Okay, so we're talking.
Yeah.
Well, this is it, the whole ride there. This is it. He won't be quiet about the 70s.
Right.
And
Did you ask him to not talk?
I thought that not talking myself, not answering his questions, I thought he would get the hint that I didn't want to talk.
You told me that you travel all the time and you fly all the time, which makes me think you take other forms of transportation. You take cabs and car services, right?
Well, yeah, usually.
And you never just said, please, can you not talk? I'd like to have some quiet, because I do. Usually, when I get in and I don't want to talk, I say, you know, if you don't mind. I've even got on a plane, and I love to talk. I talk all the time. Well, I have talked from Los Angeles to Miami nonstop. But sometimes I'll say to my seatmate, you know, I'm really kind of tired. Would you mind if I don't talk?
Well, I think I'll say that. I'll say that next time.
Okay, so I guess you didn't say it this time.
I know I did not say it.
Okay,
but
so
even if I did, I mean, he's like blasting Led Zeppelin out of his stereo, so it's not like he would hear me.
He kept talking, Your Honor.
So
he was so belligerent. He was so belligerent.
So both of you are talking, and the radio's playing too?
Well, at first it was low.
And he smells bad, my God.
He kept talking about how he's the greatest salesman of Boston.
Right.
He's used to taking limos to the airport.
I don't understand. Where is the hostility coming from here? It's just a cab
he thinks he's the big cheese, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, what happens is this, is we start hitting traffic on the 10 freeway,
Right, and then it stops, you told me.
It's like stop-and-go traffic. Okay. So he starts going off on Ricardo Montalban, all right?
One of the greatest actors ever, Your Honor.
Ricardo Montalban.
You know, he's at Wrath of Khan.
Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
The plane.
He starts going off on Ricardo Montalban and Corinthian leather and
he's a handsome classic man.
Right. So we're talking about Ricardo Montalban.
He just won't be quiet about it. He won't be quiet about Ricardo Montalban.
Did you ever say, because it sounds like you were getting irritated.
I was getting irritated.
It seems to me all you had to say was, can we just not talk, because I'm going to pay for this ride and I like
He was getting angry.
Did you say, please, can we not talk?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, I can't believe you're a salesman then. I'm not even a salesperson. I could have gotten him to stop talking.
Well, you know, you get tired of talking, you know, after a long weekend of selling stuff, you know, you want to get into a cab ride, you want to be quiet.
He's talking about Ricardo Montalban. He's talking about Led Zeppelin. He's playing the radio.
He had the nerve.
You had Korean food. Then what happened?
So he's going off on Ricardo Montalban, and then he starts in talking about a friend of his who says that Robert Goulet.
Wow, y'all are really going back.
Your Honor, I brought pictures if you'd like to see.
I know who Robert Goulet is. Wasn't he married to Edie somebody?
Yeah, Edie Gourmet.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
He's no Ricardo Montalban
right there, though.
So he starts talking about his friend, and his friend thinks that Robert Goulet is classier than Ricardo Montalban.
Right.
And he starts to get all angry while we're sitting there in traffic, and he's like banging on his...
I met Ricardo Montalban.
He is banging on his steering wheel.
So you're arguing about who's classier?
I wasn't arguing with him. He was arguing with himself.
Is Montalban still alive?
They're both deceased, Your Honor. In fact, if I could say,
But you guys are arguing about two dead actors?
Well, he's been very inspirational in many ways.
Coming up on Supreme Justice with Judge Karen.
So are we here because y'all were arguing about these two dead actors?
No, we're here because he pulls off to the shoulder of the road. He gets out of his car. He gets my stuff out of his trunk, throws it on the shoulder.
Right, you did that?
We're back with the case of Alan Shepard, who is suing Sal Clausen in the amount of $525. Sal Clausen is countersuing for $90.
What happened in the car?
So he just comes out asking me who I think is classier.
Between these two people?
Between Ricardo Montalban and Robert Goulet. And
not Clark Gable and Cary Grant. This guy. Okay.
So I say
you have a picture of the other one? And Robert Goulet. Yeah,
look at the arrogance on his face.
Yeah, we miss him.
I say Robert Goulet is classier than Ricardo Montalban. He goes freaking nuts, all right? He starts using the F word. He starts calling me names. He starts calling me stinky.
Right.
And so I'm like, I mean...
He's a bum. For me, I've been to Boston. I had a good time. This guy is the epitome of the worst case scenario. Typical salesman.
I don't understand. So are we here because y'all were arguing about these two dead actors?
No, we're here because he pulls off to the shoulder of the road. He gets out of his car. He gets my stuff out of his trunk, throws it on the shoulder.
Right, you did that?
And tells me to get out of his car.
But you did that?
Yeah, but there's reasons leading up to that, Your Honor.
Why did you do that?
First, I don't generally have problems.
Right, why did you do that?
Okay, the first strike was when he said, he was being rude and he stunk, okay? But I thought, okay, that's one strike.
Right. Strike two.
Strike two is when he said Goulet is more, is more classic and classy than Montalban.
Does Camelot mean nothing to you?
And what was the third reason?
Then the third strike, this was it, Your Honor. He started trying to tell me this joke that he thought was hilarious.
What was the joke?
It was about Adolf Hitler, the Pope, and Ricardo Montalban. I didn't even let him finish. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn. I don't take kindly to racism, anti-Semitism.
I don't either.
Okay, thank you. That was the final draw. That was it.
And so you put him out?
Yeah, I kicked. Yeah, he's lucky all I did was leave him on the side.
What's the lawsuit about? What's the $525?
So I missed my flight because I have to call a cab to come get me in the middle of traffic on the 10 freeway.
Okay.
And I have to take a cab all the way to the Long Beach airport. I miss my flight.
Right.
And so I have to schedule a new flight, which is a fee, is the next morning.
Right. Is that the $525?
Well, I had to spend the night in a hotel by the airport to wait for my flight.
Okay.
So
let me see proof of these expenses.
I've got receipts for the cab ride. I've got receipts for the hotel and the fee for the changing my flight.
Okay, so when you answered his call on that app, wish I had invented that app. When you answered his call on that app, you knew he was going to the airport.
Yes, Your Honor.
You knew when you picked him up that you were taking him to the airport.
Correct.
And you knew during the course of the car ride that he needed to make a flight.
Right, correct.
So why would you just put him out like that?
He was pushing me, Your Honor. Like I said,
he was pushing your buttons?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that means that
I don't stand for racism.
No, it started with the Ricardo Montalban thing.
Right, and Ricardo's Mexican. So I figured he's got something against him because he's Mexican.
If anybody gets in your car who doesn't like these two people, they're in trouble.
No, Your Honor. It's generally people like to talk.
And I think Robert Goulet is classier than Montalban. How about
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Teaches,
But you don't have to worry about me calling you in your old car.
Well,
you basically entered into a contract with him. It was a verbal one that I'm going to get you to the airport. Now, if you had said, listen, if you get in my car, you can't disagree with anything I say about these two actors. You got to be quiet. Don't upset me. Don't say anything that might make me think you prefer one over the other. Otherwise, I'm going to put you out. That's another thing. But you didn't say that. You said, come on, jump in. I'm going to take you to the airport for this, and you didn't do it. So that was a dereliction of your duty.
Well, what about the joke with Adolf Hitler and
I didn't hear what the joke was. And
it wasn't fun. I didn't want to.
That's why I don't want to hear it because I have a feeling it's not funny. All right, so I'm ready to rule. Is there anything else?
Well, he owes me $90 as far as I'm concerned.
Did you file a countersuit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's the cab fare?
Yeah, and 20% gratuity.
Oh, you won't be getting that.
Oh, well,
you gave up your right to that cab fare when you put him out really for no true reason. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $525. Good luck to you.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $525, and his counterclaim is denied.
There's something seriously wrong with someone who doesn't love and respect Ricardo Montalban.
Robert Goulet was on Broadway and had 5 Christmas specials.